past few months, I have been moving from one hotel to a flight and into another work trip after being home for a few days. So I needed ways that I can quickly access my files, but also keep them secure, especially if I am switching from a laptop to my PC or vice versa. I often cannot rely on cloud storage for data since I sometimes do not have reliable and secure internet access wherever I might be going. So I have been relying on local storage that I can access from any computer I'm on at the time, but that is secure so that I don't have to worry about anybody gaining access to important data without my consent. So I found 3 different portable data storage options that can allow you to be on the go and secure at the same time. Kingston Technology is partnering with me on a couple of videos this season to show you how these products work and why hardware security is so important. I actually got to take these 3 Kingston Ironkey products with me on an adventure, so I've gotten a chance to use them in a real-life scenario where you would need encrypted data storage. So a huge thank you to Kingston for sponsoring this video and for sending these out for me to test hands-on. The first device for my demo today is the Kingston Ironkey Keypad 200 USB, which uses the USB 3.2 Gen 1 interface in this little case with a keypad. Now this comes in 8, 16, 32, 64, or 128 gigs of storage. I have the 128 gig storage option, and it is IP57 weather resistant as well. This USB drive is totally OS agnostic, so you can use it with any platform as needed, including on mobile. This one uses XTS AES 256-bit hardware-based encryption, and it is FIPS 143 Level 3 pending certified for the military grade use, which is this specification that's published by NIST. It does have a few optional read-only modes, which can protect against malware from untrusted systems or machines. The global mode makes it read-only, and you can only reset it if you are an admin. The session-only mode can be set by the user as well. Now, this also protects against brute force attempts by locking the device if a user attempts 10 unsuccessful logins. If the admin PIN is incorrectly attempted 10 times, it will erase the drive, destroy the data, and reformat. So this one is unique because it uses a rechargeable battery that is secured by epoxy to the casing, and it comes with a 3-year warranty as well for that. And the keypad can be used to unlock it without any software before it's plugged into the machine. So inside this casing, the circuitry is totally covered with a tough epoxy to make it really hard for attacks to occur against the semiconductor components, and it also makes it tamper evident. And the keypad on the front here itself is covered with polymer to protect the keys from any kind of fingerprint analysis. So when you're pressing down, your fingerprint cannot be traced. So that was the Keypad 200. Let's move on to the next one. This little lightweight USB drive uses FIPS 197 certified and XTS AES 256-bit encryption, and also protects the user from attacks like bad USB since it has digitally signed firmware and brute force attacks. This one also uses the same USB 3.2 Gen 1 interface, and it comes in 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, or 256 gigs. I have the 64 gig model. Now this one can also be used in read-only mode, which means that it will be write protected against malware attacks or if you have to plug it into an untrusted system. So for businesses, that could be extremely useful if having to carry data from one machine to another, say like you're on an air-gapped machine, since we know that USB drives can be used in attacks going way back to the days of Stuxnet. Now since this one does not have any kind of screen or touchpad on it, you can use a virtual keyboard to enter your password, which can also protect against physical keyloggers. I noticed upon first setup that I had the option of setting a complex password or a passphrase. So there were 2 options. The complex password could be 6 to 16 characters long, and it uses 3 out of 4 character sets. The passphrase mode allows for a numeric PIN, a sentence, or a list of words at 10 to 64 characters long. So you do have an option there. So that can be something unique to you and easy to remember. The Ironkey VP50 can also be used on Windows and Mac. That was number 2. Now moving on to this big boy. Now this is the one that you recently saw on my channel because I did a full video review on it and I love this thing. I've been using it so much. The Kingston Ironkey VP80 external SSD is my third one that I'm reviewing today. I have been using this one since the summertime and I love that I can edit my 4K videos off of it with no issues whatsoever. In fact, between July and now, every single video that you've seen on my channel has been edited from this VP80ES, this actual one right here. I have stored all my video and audio files on this thing, as well as my editing project files, and it keeps the process really smooth and it's reliable. The SSD itself is very much plug and play. First boot just requires that you set up a PIN code on the little screen as y'all saw previously. Then you can access your settings to change the options. You can change how many times the password can be entered before the data gets wiped, how long your password is, an auto lock time, and more. The SSD is also hardware encrypted with FIPS certified XTS AES 256-bit encryption as well, and it also comes with a common criteria EAL5+ certified secure microprocessor, which is a component on the actual drive. So I saw a couple of wonderful questions and I wanted to go over those with you on today's video. So one great question I've seen is, if a thief steals your hardware encrypted drive, couldn't they just remove it from the shell casing, put it in another case, and access your data? In other words, is the encryption happening in the case or actually on the SSD? So the encryption actually happens on the drive, thanks to a chip found on the actual drive. So if a thief rips your drive out of the shell, the drive is still encrypted. The drive has the XTS AES 256-bit encryption built into it, and it will not work without the original casing because the authentication of cryptographic keys inside that little chip I talked about earlier, the CCEAL5+ secure processor, that's required before decrypting the data on the drive. So they have to work together. If a thief steals the device and they do try to brute force their way in by guessing the password, but they fail, the device itself reformats itself in FAT32. The second question I see is, what's the difference between hardware and software security? That's been an ongoing thing as well. That's a great question too. So hardware encryption happens when a drive like the ones in this video have a dedicated processor chip that's physically on the encrypted drive, which contains a random number generator to generate the encryption key. The user or admin's password unlocks this key depending on which kind of drive you choose to go with. This offloads encryption from the main host system to increase performance, but it still guards the key and keeps authentication directly on the hardware. The encryption is always on since it's tied to a specific device, and there's no additional drivers or software needed on the host PC like your computer, your laptop, or client machines. So that gives it the ability to be platform agnostic as well. Hardware encryption also protects against brute force attacks, cold boot attacks, and specific ones like bad USB. So then we have software encryption, which also has a place as well. In this case, you use encryption software to encrypt all sorts of media devices, and often that's a very cost-effective option. The trade-off is software encryption is only going to be as secure as the computer you are encrypting your device from. So your choice as to what works best for you really comes down to what your threat modeling scenario looks like. Are you running around with proprietary information for your company, or do you need to give multiple people access to protected information about clients? I generally go for the encrypted SSD so I can carry around my video projects, which do take up a lot of storage, let's be honest, and contracts that I need to work on, etc. So in that sense, encryption is very important to me. So these are 3 different ways that you can protect your digital life on the go. Each of these gives you a slightly different experience depending on your needs. I would love to know your questions down below in the comments, and if you found this overview helpful, make sure to subscribe for more. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Shannon Morse, and I'll see you next time. Bye, y'all.